Some people just seem to have it, right? They ooze self-esteem and self-confidence. They walk into a room and they can fill the whole space with their presence. And sometimes this self-confidence is hard-earned and is well warranted. Sometimes these people have done the hard work of becoming aware of their shortcomings and actively working to overcome them, refining their character and becoming the kind of person that they've always wanted to be. And this is our goal here. Other times, this self-confidence has not been earned and it is not warranted at all. Sometimes this confidence is the result of oblivion and a lack of self-awareness and introspection. In such cases, these people have probably been told that they are perfect and that they don't need to change, and they've just believed it, never stopping to truly unpack themselves. And other times, this confidence is a false confidence used as a shield or a mask. The people who wield self-confidence in this kind of way have enough introspection and insight into themselves to be aware of their shortcomings, but they're not entirely sure what to do about them. So they project an air of confidence and wholeness to hide these dysfunctions and to stop other people from recognizing them and pointing them out. So the confidence is kind of like a shield, and in some cases, like a weapon that is brought out before the wielder as a way of deflecting and of ultimately protecting themselves. And then we come to the other extreme end of the spectrum. Here, we have people who are so acutely aware of their shortcomings that it overwhelms them. It is all they see, it is all they believe themselves to be, and they have a hard time pretending otherwise. Their shortcomings and dysfunctions are so heavily focused upon and so massively magnified in their own minds that they can't see themselves in any other light. And they live their lives apologizing before they've even opened their mouths. Apologizing simply for existing and for taking up space. While unwarranted and unearned self-confidence is the product of inappropriately magnifying the good bits, unwarranted or unearned low self-esteem is the product of inappropriately magnifying the apparently not so good bits until they become overwhelming and all-consuming. Often, these people judge our friends who live at the opposite end of our pendulum swing, whilst also secretly wishing that they could be a little more like them. Sometimes they just give in to a life of being less than because they believe there is nothing they can do to alter their present state. Sometimes they try to find a solution. And other times they might come across a YouTube video put out by a confident, earned or unearned spiritual mentor who says, "You are enough. You are perfect exactly as you are." And they convince themselves to become like those other people with unwarranted, unearned self-confidence, plastering false self-esteem over the top of the dysfunction and becoming what they previously judged. Instead of trying to transform themselves into someone they can truly be proud of, they have now allowed themselves to become convinced that they can and should stay the same because they are already perfect. But I say, indeed, you are enough. And indeed, you must come to know and accept yourself exactly as you are, because it is through the mechanism of deep acceptance that you will finally be able to recognize your potential and get to work transforming yourself to become the kind of person that you don't just have to settle for. You can absolutely become the sort of person that you genuinely like and respect. You can become the sort of person who you would love to spend all of your time with. You can have a wonderful life with yourself. But it takes guts, it takes confront, it takes imagination, it takes honesty, and it takes a good amount of hard work. However much you might wish otherwise, there are no free lunches here. Everyone earns what they get. The first step in your journey of transformation must always begin with acceptance. You must be aware of exactly what you have to work with. You must see yourself and know yourself as you truly are. You must stop being afraid of what you might meet in yourself and instead turn to face it, not exaggerating or overemphasizing, but in the clear light of truth. Through deep acceptance and true humility, you empower yourself. I don't mean to compare you to a half-baked cake, but I will. But if we were to bake a cake, our first step would be to find out what our ingredients are, right? Without exaggerating or pretending that the vanilla is actually chocolate, we need to know exactly what it is that we have to work with. We need to open our hypothetical pantry door on our innermost workings and be honest about what we find there. You have more than one ingredient. It's time to see the others. Then, with the pantry door flung wide open and no rose-colored glasses on, you need to accept that the ingredients that you have to work with are, indeed, enough. This is what you've got. No amount of wishing that the vanilla was chocolate is going to turn the vanilla into chocolate. There is no point judging the cinnamon for being cinnamon. That's just what it is. There's no point wishing that you had white flour when you have wholemeal flour. And this is your deep acceptance. This is the step where you let yourself acknowledge and truly know yourself. This is the scary step where you see yourself and you embrace yourself. Here we realize that we are enough. But once we have become aware of what we have to work with, we must set about dreaming. And I'm not talking about silly dreaming. I mean dreaming in a very real and practical sense. Again, there's no point dreaming of making a chocolate cake if you only have vanilla. But you can make an incredible vanilla cake, especially if you didn't throw that cinnamon out. So here, with all of our ingredients laid before us, we dream up the ultimate end product. We let ourselves feel how we know we can be. And here's a little tip. If you have ever dreamt up the perfect partner, the person who you would love to be around, who you would find it so natural and easy to love, who you would enjoy spending the rest of your life with, that's the sort of person you can now, in your empowered state, become. To become your own perfect life partner, dreamt up by you, becomes your life's work. Dream big, but dream true, and don't try to rush ahead to the finished product. All of the ingredients on your benchtop need to be combined and worked. The cake is the end product of a thorough process where every step is honored and essential. If any step is missed, the cake won't turn out the way that you dream. If an essential ingredient is skipped because you didn't like how it made you feel, then the entire cake could be a disaster. Be courageous and be thorough. Remember as well that you can't rush transformation. It's not about being complacent and waiting for the transformation to happen on its own. A dream once dreamed does not automatically become a reality. You must put the time and the work in, but do your best to enjoy the process and accept that the process will take as long as it takes. Just ensure that you're putting in the effort which is required to produce constant forward motion. Along your journey, there will be some hard truths to realize, some painful memories dredged up and some intense feelings to be felt. You're not just plastering an ideal over the top of an old version of you. Your healing and your transformation is thorough and deep. You are not half baking a cake here. You must be very real, honest, and present with yourself as you undertake this process. But do your best to remember that you are so much more than even the sum of your parts. Though a part of you may be hurting, you are not just this hurting part. The hurting part is not all of you, it is within you, which means that you are still there. And what this hurting part needs is you. It needs your acceptance, it needs your acknowledgement, it needs your presence as the hurt is deeply felt. then it needs you to coach it as it releases its pain, and it needs you to keep dreaming for it so that you can provide it with the right medicine once the pain has passed. You must remember to keep dreaming. Keep dreaming for the inner child. Keep dreaming for the broken one. Keep dreaming for the abused one, for the frightened one, the broken one, the bullied one, the unworthy one, the depressed one, the anxious one, the confused one, the mean one, the cruel one, the overpowering one. You accept them all. You feel them all. And as you release the intense energy of them, you breathe the new life of the dream in to transform them. Remember as well that there are different stages to the process. Your transformation is not going to be one smooth, upward pointing line. It's going to look a little more like this. There is a time for assessing your ingredients. There is a time for dreaming what can be achieved with your ingredients. There is a time for combining different ingredients. There is a time for separating them and assessing them individually. There is a time for cracking things open, a time for holding them, warming them, nurturing them. There is a time for brisk movement and activity. There is a time to sit and rest. There is a time for facing the old. There is a time for discovering and trying out something new. There will be times of realization, insight, and excited discovery. There will be times of facing and moving through deep pockets of old. There will be times of forming new habits, and there will be times of breaking old habits. There will be some things that it's easy to let go of. There will be other things that you need to have a few goes at. It's okay. The process doesn't need to look any one particular way. Again, just focus on forward movement and keep inspiring yourself to take the next step. You are enough, and you could settle if you wanted to. But I bet you just haven't yet worked out how to master and extract the best from the ingredients that you have to work with. It takes work to change and transform ourselves. But the process itself is so incredibly rewarding, sometimes even more rewarding than the cake that you inevitably end up with. A life of transformation, introspection, and giving too much of a shit about yourself to just settle is a deeply rewarding, creative, insightful, surprising, challenging, and exquisite life. So go on, choose yourself. Choose to know yourself. Choose to fight for yourself. Choose to discover and to build yourself. Choose to become the kind of person who oozes warranted and thoroughly earned self-confidence, the product of hard and self-developing work. If you're interested in this kind of transformation, self-insight, self-discovery, and self-becoming, then I happen to know a bunch of really well-qualified mentors who are masters at this process. And they're not masters just because they've studied it, they're masters because they have quite literally applied this process very thoroughly to themselves, transforming themselves, realizing themselves, becoming better and dreamt of versions of themselves. And through applying this process of transformation to themselves, they have learned how to pass on and teach what they have learned so that other people can apply this or these processes to themselves and their own lives. So if you're serious, you will find more information and access to these mentors by following the Mystery School link that I have in the description of this video. But if you're just interested in a few tips and tricks and philosophizing about life, the universe, and everything, then subscribe, follow along, and check out some of my other videos where I take a pretty deep dive into a whole bunch of these topics. I've also written a book about it, which you can find in another link that I have below. But for now, that's all. Get to work choosing and transforming and loving the shit out of yourself. Becoming the kind of person that you can have a very full, satisfying, and rewarding life with. It's worth it. You're worth the hard work. and the hard work pays back in bounds.